Okay, this is a 30-second commercial, and I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you, but please stay with me. In just 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more on car insurance. This company has been offering great rates and great service for over 75 years, and anytime you need help, you can speak to one of their trained specialists 24/7. That company is Geico. Go to geico.com today. Sorry for all the numbers, and in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm out of time.
Now, Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio. A downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast, Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
All right, here we are, Spike's Car Radio. Here today on a very special day. Out at Santa Monica Airport for the first time. The beautiful offices of Hangar 56 Media, my production company, with my partner, John Stevens. And we're here with Scott Dixon, 5-time Indy champion, driver extraordinaire, loves cars, loves watches. You just landed. Where did you just land from? You just landed at LAX, which is why we're here in Santa Monica.
That's right. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Came in from Indianapolis. So
Indianapolis.
yeah,
wow.
That's where we're based with the kids and family and the Ganassi race shop actually for the IndyCar portion is based
right
over there.
And so. I always forget that because I've had Rossi on and Graham, Ray Hall.
Yep. Yeah.
You guys are all this time of year hanging out in Indy. And is there like a cabin that you all sleep in?
Yeah, exactly.
Like how does it work? And just take before that. Where are we at with the Indy season? Right.
So the Indy season is kind of gearing up now. So in LA, we test actually in Laguna Seca on Friday, and then where COTA preseason test starts actually next week too. So the testing portion starts in February, and then the first race will be St. Pete, the second weekend of March.
Is it always St. Pete? I remember I came for that a couple of years back.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been a staple for quite a few years.
And
now.
then the Long Beach Grand Prix, which is in April, right?
Yeah.
That is your 4th or 5th race of the season?
Typically around the 4th or 5th, which was just rebranded as the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach.
The Acura, what was it before?
Toyota. It's for many years, I think 20 or 30 years.
That's
So,
right.
yeah, so Acura.
Are they still going to have that celebrity race?
No, they didn't have it last year either. we used to love that one because it's always good to watch, the crashes. And they have some big crashes.
I've always wanted to do it. And then, because I thought I could certainly win. I could just beat everyone. But there's some great drivers in that series in the past.
They do have some past champions, I think
they
do. But the last year they had it, there was a big crash, and then there was a tow truck. Did you see this one?
No.
And it was picking the crashed cars up. And then the people that were way behind were coming through fast to try and catch the pack. And actually ended up smashing into the tow truck. And they nearly killed about 3 people.
Oh,
it was
no.
crazy.
Which celebrities almost died? Do you recall?
I don't remember who it was. I just remember watching it in the truck while we were getting prepared.
And I say
to go
celebrities
out.
in quotes.
Yeah.
Celebrities. Anyway, so this time of year, you're getting the car ready, or again, help me understand Indy a little more, because I don't. So you're going to be out testing your car for Chip Ganassi Racing.
That's right.
At Laguna Seca
On Friday. Yep.
On
So
Friday.
a couple of days. Yep.
So you fly in here. Why
yes.
not San Francisco?
Because I have a few meetings. So actually be stopping by with Richard Mille later today, and then just a couple of other things that we're trying to wrap up before the season starts.
The watchmaker.
Yes, the watchmaker.
And what's happening there?
Hopefully get our deal done. It's been lingering for a few weeks.
So you're going to make a deal with them to wear their stuff.
That's right.
These watch deals are great, aren't they?
Aren't
they fantastic?
And it's a fun brand. They definitely take a lot of risks, but the attention to detail is crazy.
Do they have a lightweight watch? Is this something you'd be wearing during a race?
They would prefer that, I'm sure. But yeah, I think that they have the lightest watch, right? The one they chased with Nadal.
So this is the same deal Nadal is doing, right?
I'm not sure if I'll be using that watch. That's obviously his one, but yeah, that thing is extremely light, made out of some crazy
material.
Isn't that
like $1 million titanium construction? Weighs less than a feather.
That one's like made out of. They came up with their own concoction. I think it's called anthracite or something. But it's super light. But yeah, it's like just under $800,000. That one.
So you got to go in there. You got to say, look, I want to do this deal.
Yeah.
But I want to make this watch. I want to design it from the bottom up. I want to make it look like a car.
Yeah.
I want to make it look like my car. Right.
That's right.
How do you feel about a watch that matches your car?
I think that's an interesting. You see that with some of the larger brands,
right?
And I think Bentley do quite a few. I remember they even going back to the Breitling,
the Bentley Breitlings,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
So
Porsche also puts out a watch to go along with a car. I'm not sure how I feel about that. If it's too matchy for me, you know what I mean?
To be honest, I can't say I've ever seen anybody wearing one of those, so I don't know if that's a thing or not.
Like, would you drive? I have my GT2 RS out here right now, but I would not wear my GT2 RS watch if I had one. I might buy a 918 watch because I can't afford a 918. Do you hear what I'm saying?
But on a lot of those things, don't you actually have to have the car to get the watch?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
I would guess
sometimes.
I could go on eBay right now and buy a 918 watch.
Maybe there's a few out there. You're right.
Yeah, there are. It's tough. I mean, but when it comes to an actual manufacturer doing a car watch, I kind of like that, but it always slightly confuses it a little for me. Like the Ferrari watches, they're not made by Ferrari, but there are other watch brands that make a Ferrari watch, but I don't know. That just doesn't feel like me, that I would wear the whole outfit. I'd rather just wear the car and whatever else I'm wearing that day, right?
I'm pretty strict on like the watch. I collect quite a few watches, but I'm quite strict on, it's mostly vintage.
You brought watches today, right?
Brought watches.
We veered wildly from Indy racing into watches, but since we're on it, and I know what you're going, get back to the cars, Spike. We will get back to the cars, but we're talking about watches right now, and the talk show host in me knows that. Let's just go with that. He's got a bag. He's got some stuff in it. I want to see what Scott Dixon brought in here.
Well, I know you like Daytonas, right?
I love them.
You're actually sporting one today.
I'm wearing this one because I know you like that.
So I brought a couple of different ones.
Wow, he's got a tool roll. He's unrolling right now.
Actually, we'll start here.
Nice
so
leather tool roll.
Yeah,
and some
Houdinki right there.
Individual travel packs. This is all Houdinki swag.
Big thank you.
Ben Clymer.
Ben Clymer. There we go.
Well, he didn't send me this.
But there's a
wow.
Yeah,
that is a Newman dial Daytona. Wow, you are really into it. Now, you and I have communicated many times on Instagram.
Yeah,
and you always write as if I'm thinking about buying something, but you never, at least from my side of it, pull the trigger. And now here's the most incredible collection of Rolex Daytonas. Here's a
6263.
Yeah, 6263 black dial with the big red Daytona.
Yeah.
Wow. No service dials for you, sir.
Not right now. But no, it's I enjoy
walked
it.
in here with a weapon right now.
Here's more of a modern one, but that's a Daytona winner right there.
We like that guy. So this is a Daytona winning Daytona.
Yeah, it's the one
inscribed on the back.
My first Daytona win actually with Dan Weldon and Casey Mears back in 2006.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Wow, look at the subdials on the 6263. Look at that. Maybe that's just from the plastic reflecting.
I think
Let me take a picture.
Yeah, I'll take that off.
Because there's no way. I kind of like them wrapped in the plastic. This is great. Wow. You just throw them down there. So you've really gone nuts here.
Yeah,
you've quietly gone nuts.
Yeah. I don't know how many I have now. I have obviously a ton of modern stuff too.
Right.
But
look at that.
It's always a bit of fun. Here's a Carrera, a tag. I know you like tags.
Look, I'm just taking some pictures.
But it's they did a small run when I raced for Target as the sponsor. That was I think
that's a Target Tag Heuer.
Yeah, they only made 50 of them, I think. But it's kind of an interesting kind of dial, but it's a fun watch as well.
The rare Target Tag Heuer. That's hilarious.
I don't know.
I didn't even know this watch existed.
Yeah.
No, had no idea.
I think they said there was 50 of them. I'm not
I know,
sure
there's the Tiffany dial watches that are prized.
Yeah.
I've seen, nothing like that. That is so cool. I would wear that watch a lot. I like the whole Target Tag Heuer. It just seems there's a humility and a fun to that watch.
Well, it's different. You're just not going to see it.
Yeah, I know.
But here's a 369. I don't know if you've seen one of those before. Wow. Submariner.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
So you've really gone bonkers here. Is this your entire collection that you have here? No. You've really gone nuts.
Lots.
Does your wife know what you're doing?
She knows some of it, I guess. They're investments, right? I think that's
that's
the way you sell them as investments.
What is happening with they all seem to be going up at such rapid paces. Have you noticed lately? The other day, I was just Googling some of my watches just to see where we were at.
Yeah.
And things had doubled in price.
Yeah. You have some great pieces, and you have even that Tudor you have is amazing.
Which one?
The Tudor,
the Tudor French Navy, sub
yeah,
that I bought by myself. The thing that really one of my favorite watches is the Rolex 1680 Submariner.
Yeah,
with the date.
Yeah.
And about 3 years ago, I went down to want to buy a watch here in L.A. because my wife wanted a gold Rolex. You know that the ladies wear.
Absolutely.
She has no nice watches. I was finally like, get this. This will be fun.
Yeah.
And I said, let me trade this in, and they said, these 1680s, nobody wants them. It's all about the Rolex Submariner 5513.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Because they don't have a date. They're easier to set, which I totally understand, right? Yep. So I said, whatever, just give me whatever you want for it. So a week later, I called up Ken. I said, look, I am missing my watch. Can I come back in and buy it back?
Yeah.
You just, whatever the trade-in was, can I just give you that cash? And I think it was about $6,500. And he goes, yeah, but look, I'm glad you're taking it. I've got a bunch of these. None of them are moving. I looked last week. Yeah. They doubled in price.
Did you have the single red or it's the white?
I don't even have a red.
Yeah.
It's the reds the reds used to be like a $9,000 watch, and those have zipped up to $30,000.
Depending on what they are, for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
and they dragged up the lowly, just plain 1680.
But
it's beautifully patinaed.
Yeah, a lot of it's been... I think the Paul Newman kind of auction definitely created a lot of interest right across the board. Phillips have done a really good job with their auctions and creating awareness, doing their little tours. I know you went to one of those as well. But
yeah.
Also Hodinkee, they've done an amazing job of just... informing people of what's available, what's out there, what's interesting, what's not maybe, but there's so much out there. But definitely the Rolex and vintage stuff has gone real crazy.
I also, what do you suppose? I suspect a lot of people really weren't looking at this stuff, really weren't considering vintage watches. It was a time where it's like, why do I need a watch? I've got my phone.
Yeah.
But I also suspect it's a lot easier to store these watches than it is to store cars. Like you're saying, your wife knows some of what you have. The same holds true for me. I've talked to a lot of guys who will say, look, I bought this a year ago. My wife has never noticed it on my wrist. Doesn't even look at it. Doesn't even see it.
Yeah, my wife will notice them for sure. But I think, even if you look at Daytonas, they all look fairly similar, right? As long
they
as,
do.
You can kind of get away with that.
Yeah,
and then if you have a safety deposit box, it's not even at the house. that definitely helps a lot.
And what are you going to do today with all this stuff? You got to be careful just carrying this stuff around, right? You just keep it on your person.
Some of them are, fairly significant, but I don't know. I still enjoy it. It's I've been very fortunate with the business that I'm in, and these are some of the things that I really enjoy. So it's definitely, I think with watches, man, it gets you. They can suck you in big time. Same with cars.
How do you enjoy a watch? Help me with this. It's interesting. It's a hard question, but
yeah, I don't know. For me, my first watch actually was a Shure. It was the Monaco, and I bought it actually, I think at LAX term. It was the first year I started racing an IndyCar, and it was just sitting there right in the shop, and ended up purchasing it on the way to race in Japan that year. So that, I think for me, I'd always seen them, seen Rolex Daytonas, being involved in motor racing from, I started go-karts in 7, then into Formula cars at the age of 13 in New Zealand, and then Australia, and then America. That environment, there was just people always wearing those watches, so it was something that I always wanted, but never really had the money to do it. We came from, not an extremely poor family, but we just didn't have the money to go and buy a watch or anything like that. But it's, I don't know, it's something for me that men... it's like an accessory. It's, jewelry. It's the only thing I really wear is a watch. But I also love, the mechanical side of it. I think that's what's really drawn and made people go full circle with watches is just that, it's everything is advancing so fast with phones, with digital watches. Mm-hmm. It's cool to have these mechanical pieces that people can enjoy. And for me in my business, you're in the business of racing against time. That's
right.
What it's always, everything we do is timed, whether it's preparing the car, getting the car fixed, or trying to better the competition. It's always a race against time, and that's, the simplicity to me is what it comes back to.
Yeah, and a history. For me, they're like cars. Like the value doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
If these things were $100, I would have a ton of them. I just like looking at them. They just feel right. They feel like an extension of my style, whatever that means.
Exactly.
And it's a personal enjoyment. It's a moment at like a red light where you just look down and you see your blue jeans and this watch, and you're like, God, I just love looking at that thing the same way I love looking at a really great car design.
Even events, right? When you're getting ready,
Yeah.
you're already in my mind. I'm like, I'm gonna wear the Paul Newman tonight, or something different, and it's just it's something I look forward to.
And isn't it? It's rare that anybody even notices, anyways. But you do. You enjoy it, right?
I think in the cliques that at least some of the ones I hang out in, they notice and they really enjoy it. And same with you too. It's one of those things that's definitely become more at the forefront too.
Well, it's a hunt too. It gives us something to hunt for that won't get us in trouble.
A lot tougher though, man. The internet is
what's that?
Trying to find these watches. Everybody knows
so
the value of them now, so it becomes such a. There's quite a few out there. There is a lot of saturation, but I think in all reality, to find good pieces, there's not that many.
Well, and trustworthy people.
Yes,
it's
there's
funny.
A lot of that.
Yeah,
a lot of that.
There's a lot of that out there.
That's actually how my story with my first ever Daytona. Finally, I think it was maybe my first race when I had in IndyCar. It might have been the year before. But, I'm like, I'm going to buy a Daytona. Couldn't get one at the store, even at that time in the early 2000s, I was, basically a nobody that was trying to buy, a watch, and they had their lists. But found one on eBay, I'm like, yeah, bought it. It was white dial. And so then the package turns up, and it's a package with just a basket in it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So long story short, eventually get the money back through insurance and all that kind of stuff. But that was my first introductory to.
And whose insurance? Who was it through again?
Through eBay.
So eBay. So that eBay insurance worked.
Yeah, it did. But also, it not for the full amount, but it was like maybe 60% or 70% of it. But that was definitely a big lesson I learned straight off the bat with that.
Yeah, I think I learned that lesson with a VCR in Boston when I was a kid. Yeah.
Well,
hey, kid, in college. Hey, how'd you like a VCR for $75? Well, I would, sir. I would love that. Here, hop in the car. Got in the car with some strange people. Oh. They drove me to a little store. It was a DVD player. Sorry, we were. They drove me to this little candy store down the end of the street in the south end of Boston there. They said, go inside. The guy's going to have it. We walked in together. He goes, wait right here. He walks out back, went right out the back door, and I'm just standing in this weird candy store with a bunch of folks. And then I went up to the cashier, and I said, hey, where's my DVD player? And the guy went, what?
What are you looking at? Yeah, what DVD player?
Get out of here.
Oh, man.
And I went, oh. And then I saw that guy about 3 weeks later.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, turns out he lived I was in a gentrified neighborhood, so it was half kind of college students and half, a lot of criminals, apparently. A lot of good people, but also just a lot of criminals.
But I'm guessing you didn't get your DVD player.
And I said, hey.
Where is it?
This is another mistake I made as a college kid. Hey, aren't you the guy who ripped me off for that DVD player? And he turned around and looked at me. He goes, what? Same kind of what? Go, you ripped me off. You took my $75 for that DVD player. And he didn't say anything. He just took out his knife and started running at me.
Oh, no. Really?
Chasing me down the block with his knife. And I ran into a little pharmacy on the corner. And he came up to the glass, and there was this, I was hoping that it would be a pharmacy. It was a tiny pharmacy, just full. The pharmacist was just this spindly old guy who wasn't going to do anything. And I realized, well, this is it. And he came to the door, and he just decided it wasn't worth it to kill me that day.
It's not worth dying over a DVD player.
There's no way. I couldn't get over the guy's desk. It was all going to go down. It was going to be ugly. And I could not take this guy. It was a big dude. With a knife.
And he had a knife.
A big knife. Big knife. It wasn't the only time that's happened, but that's when I learned my lesson. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to some car talk.
Lesson learned.
Let's get back to Indy racing. These cars, this car you're going to test, what's been happening with it between seasons?
So I think, at least with our team, I think in most teams there's normally 2 cars in rotation. I think at some of the bigger teams there's maybe 2 or 3 per driver in rotation. So depending on, there's always one that's normally singled out for the Indianapolis 500 that gets a, kind of a more detailed body fit, because you're looking for, such fine points of, maybe a pound here of drag or anything that's going to help you, possibly win the pole at the Indianapolis 500, but also, try and go on to win, our marquee event and, probably the most historical race event in the
When
world.
do the engineers turn that car over to you, right? You have a lot, as I recall, I've toured a lot of your places down in it. It's always this group of great, smart engineers
Absolutely.
who always tell me, it's about the engineering.
It is. It is.
The driver is great, but it's about the engineering.
Well,
so
of course, it's all about the driver.
Yes.
That's
that's
what
what you
really
say.
about.
You're the driver,
Yeah.
but
no,
are they messing with this car? Are there new rules that they have to deal with right now, or is this essentially the same car as last year?
So last year went through a major change from we had aero package competition between the manufacturers, so GM and Honda, which was I think a 2 or 3 year period, and then they decided, hey, we're spending a bunch of money. Nobody really sees the difference. It's not really doing anything for our racing. If anything, it's possibly making it worse. So they IndyCar, went back to the drawing board and ended up coming up with a unified aero kit. And so now everybody across the field, 25, 6 cars or whatever it is, has the same aero kit. The only definition now is obviously the teams, and what they do to the cars, and then the engine manufacturer with GM, and we run with Honda. So in the off season, you're going to have many objectives, right? You analyze the season to start with, where we maybe didn't do as well or where we excelled, and you try and fill in all the holes to obviously make the car faster, but also a better package for everybody. So yeah, it's our last race was in Sonoma last year and the second week of September, but they work all the way through the winter trying to find speed at the wind tunnel, the shaker rigs. We spend a lot of time
Hello, John.
working on simulators these days. So yeah, it's thank you for that. It's an ongoing process that's just continuous.
Now but last year you won, right?
Yeah, we won the championship. Yeah,
You won the
fifth time.
championship.
I'm only the second person to ever do that outside of AJ Foyt. So
Wow.
hasn't been
That's
done
amazing.
for 51 years.
So what do you? But again, don't you feel the pressure now? I mean, because you can't go in there and go, here's how we can do better because we did the best. We beat everybody, right?
I don't know. You feel good, man. You just won, right? So it's you might walk around with your chest out a little bit more, but
But it's not. But it's not that. It's what are you looking to improve if you've already won? Do you know what I mean? That in itself can be a little bit of a trap, right? It's that, almost that you lay back a little bit.
Yeah, complacency is the worst
Right.
portion that you can and I think as a team, a lot of people forget that motor racing, it's a team sport. It's not the driver, it's not the engine supplier, it's not the car. It's for us, I think it's almost 80 people that run the 2 Indy cars.
Mm-hmm.
So not to mention the Ford GT program and the NASCAR side and the Xfinity side. It's a big operation with a lot of people and a lot of moving parts. But it's for us. Fortunately, there was a lot of holes in our program last year, so there's a lot of areas that we can improve, and I think that's definitely gives us a good shot. Unfortunately, in my position, I've never been able to repeat a championship. I've never been able to defend it. So
Yes.
that's goal number one for this year is
right.
to try and go for that
You're
6th championship.
You're like the Tom Brady of racing. You're like the Tom Brady of
Well, he
racing.
just got 6, right? So
Yeah, he just got 6.
We'll be chasing
You've
6
got
too.
5.
Yeah,
You could get
he's
6.
killing
right
it,
here.
man. He's killing it.
This you mentioned the Ford GT,
Yeah.
and I saw your Instagram post of a Ford GT.
So backing it up even further, I drive obviously the IndyCar foot chip, and then the Ford GT program was the sports car program that Chip was going to be running. So he's like, hey, will you come and join and do the endurance races, which are Daytona 24-hour, Sebring 12-hour, Le Mans 24-hour, and Petit Le Mans, which is in Atlanta. And I was like, yeah, we'll talk about the money side of things, but ultimately I want to get one of the cars, one of the road cars.
Yeah, there you go.
No problem. And they didn't write it into any of the deal, and I was like, oh, here we go. So
No problem.
Yeah.
They didn't say that
Probably
to
6
me.
months into the program, I think it might have been around Le Mans, and I'm like, hey, what? How about getting on the list for that thing? They're like, oh yeah, we need to do that. And then when I called up eventually, some of the people in charge at the time, which have now moved on, but they're like, oh yeah, you need to submit
an application.
An application and be part of the program. So, I had to do the little video,
Yeah,
you
isn't it
fill in
funny?
the forms.
Those manufacturers are always like that. There's always a guy like that who says, yeah, sure, I can take care of it, but it's a corporate entity with many different departments and politics inside, and it always gets lost unless you're talking to the number one guy. It's been my experience. Unless you're talking to the boss. And even then, there's a disconnect to the dealership union and the dealership. So they can't really say to their dealers a lot of times, sell that guy that car for that much.
But it's so fragmented. You got Ford, then you've got Multimatic that actually build the car for Ford. So you have that disconnect. Then you have those two layers of people that are running that, and then even if you look at the corporate side, you got the main man, then you got the two main men below him or woman.
So what did you write?
Or, whatever it is. But I
want to know what you wrote for your essay. Did you say, I am Scott fucking Ronald Dixon, end of essay?
No, I basically...
How will I promote this car? I will drive it.
I think I just said I'd won a couple of championships. I'll be driving the car.
Just in case you didn't know.
Be driving the car, for you at these great races that we're going to try and go and win. But... I still had to fill out all the stats. Had any history I had with Ford previously, which I had.
Yeah.
I think I had a Ford F-150, a maroon one, back when I was about 22. That I'd brought cheap. I brought for like $5,000 because it hit a power pole on the left side. So you actually was it on the left side or the right side?
So
it was
what
on the right
Fords
side.
have
So you're
you
actually
owned
getting
is
into
on there,
it. You
right?
had to get all in from the driver's side.
So wow. So if you've owned, so what you're saying, I think, is if you've owned a Ford F-150, you can get this new car.
Ford GT.
Yeah,
that's the inside line.
And you're not going to John Cena this thing. You're not going to just get it and flip it, right?
Well,
You're enjoying it.
Do you want to buy it?
Huh?
You want to buy it?
Sure.
No,
I would do that in
I
2
think
seconds.
they're pretty restrictive on that now, and I don't think it would be a good
You've
look.
got 2 years,
for
right?
myself. Yeah, I think they.
And you're enjoying it.
They hold the title now. I think is how they actually do it.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
Which
I don't. I think there's been a couple of cases. Maybe wasn't there something in Texas that went down, and actually the judge decided that they couldn't do it. So
yeah. No, the big case was this John Cena case. Then I know there was a car that went to auction. There was also
and there's been 3 auction now, right? I think there was but the last one was for charity. That was the the golf car.
But you're loving the car.
I actually haven't driven it.
Well,
I drove it. I drove it from where I picked it up, and then because you have to get the clear covering the sticky stuff, so it's protected. The clear.
You have to get that.
Well, they suggest to. They said don't drive it more than 10 miles until you get that stuff put on the car. So I went and did that, and then in the process of
why did they say why? Did you say why?
Because it'll wreck the paint. So it has some pretty big ducts behind the front wheels.
But what if you just didn't ever put it on?
Well, then that's your problem. But they're just saying,
they're just saying if you're going to do it
it's
in the first 10 miles.
Yeah,
I never do any of that stuff.
Yeah,
I
did. I don't know. It's the first significant car I think
Yeah.
I've ever brought.
Yeah.
Like I've had nice cars.
But isn't it weird? If you want a protective coating on it, why don't you put that on at the factory and just give me the car?
Yeah.
Why am I doing something after you give me this?
It's like another $5,000 or $10,000. That
it's
you got
very
to throw
expensive,
onto
right?
to the top. But in this process, somehow the front windscreen got broken as well. So
Wait,
I
what?
still haven't driven this thing. I drove it about eight miles.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That would make me crazy.
Yeah, it's a cool looking car.
And where is the car? Is it here? Is it Indy?
It's in. It got delivered in Indianapolis, but.
And where are you year round? Where do you live?
So most of the times in Indianapolis. I go home to New Zealand, 2-3 times a year. My wife's British, so we spend quite a bit of time in London as well. And then we actually. Some of the cars I keep in Montana as well.
Right, but you have kids too, right?
Yeah.
So where are they in school?
In Indianapolis.
In Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then
international school in Indianapolis, so they're in French immersion. There's a lot of good
so they'll
stuff
stay
going on
there, and then over the summer they just travel around with you and have a good time.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
You have girls, right?
Two little girls. Yeah, Poppy and Tilly. They're 7 and 9.
They're
a lot of fun.
Do they like racing?
Poppy,
Do they get
Poppy has kind of asked about it a little bit, and actually the last trip we took to New Zealand over Christmas and New Year, they had their first go on a go-kart. So
yeah, and
they loved it. Unfortunately, they loved it.
That's great.
Yeah.
You should have them follow a past guest of Spike's Car Radio, Aurora Strauss, 19-year-old, Harvard-educated.
Yeah.
Female racer extraordinaire.
Yeah,
an extraordinary person. Really bright,
Yeah.
beautiful young woman who's just killing it in the racing scene.
I will definitely.
But do you want that? You don't want them to race.
Probably not. It's expensive, man, and it's tough.
Yeah.
The motor racing business model has changed.
And your wife, you have this beautiful wife who I'd imagine is thrilled to have little girls who she doesn't want them to be grease monkeys, right?
Well, the problem with Emma is so Emma was actually a runner for Great Britain. So
right.
She ran, her specialty was 800 meters, but she's probably outside of Chip. Well, and they're probably the most competitive people I've ever met. So she actually would be fine with it, but
right.
I think the financial side is tough, and
yeah,
I don't know, man. That's
not going to happen.
It's a tough world. Tough world out there.
Well, look, we're going to take a quick break.
Go.
Then we're going to get to all of the questions our listeners have and some more of mine. We'll be right back with Spike's Car Radio. 60 seconds. That's exactly how long this commercial lasts. You know what else you can do in about a minute? Get an offer with your car from TrueCar. That's right. In the amount of time it takes to floss your teeth, pet your dog, do a few sit-ups, just listen to my voice, you can get a true cash offer. Best of all, you can do it from your smartphone or at home. Just go to TrueCar and simply enter your license plate number and watch how your car's details pop up. Answer a few questions and you'll get an accurate true cash offer from local TrueCar certified dealer. It's that easy. After that, you can bring your car in and they'll check it out with you together, the two of you. You can even hug if you want. You can ask questions, get the answers you need so there's no surprises, and simply leave your check or trade in your car for a new ride. So when you're ready to experience a new, better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
Welcome back. I'm here with Scott Dixon,
What's up?
Indy champion, 5, going for number 6, like Tom Brady. A little too competitive with Tom Brady for me.
Chasing 6. There we go. Chasing 6.
We were talking about saying the GT2 RS is a little rough. It's crazy. It's
aggressive.
It's aggressive,
I think that's the word I
right?
used.
Right.
It was
But
aggressive.
As compared to a Ford GT, and it really leads me to this conversation I have all the time and had just yesterday with a couple friends about, is it, they said, well, which car are you liking? Because I have trouble driving a GT3 now because of the GT2 RS.
Yeah,
I love this thing,
Yeah.
right? The question is, can you enjoy a car like the Ford GT or GT2 RS a lot? A guy like you who's a professional driver, because I've met race car drivers before. Brian Vickers comes to mind, who
great guy.
wants something quiet when he's on the road, and he likes the Tesla. He would rather be in that on the road, right? Because he's in something aggressive on the track. How do you feel about that?
I'm kind of in the same boat, just because it's such a disconnect, from what we get to drive on track is they're amazing. They stop well. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of grip. They're at the high point of aggression, right?
Right.
And then road cars, they kind of just feel like they roll around a lot. The road tire is not very good.
But then, so are you going to enjoy this Ford GT, or is it going to feel less than?
Well, the Ford GT is it just looks so cool, that car.
Yeah.
Like the style, of what how they've been able to keep the history and the look of it, but also modernize it has been pretty incredible. Porsche, do a fantastic job of that too. I think across their lines throughout the years. But yeah, I don't know. Not as far as going fast or anything like that. It's more of like maybe doing cars and coffee and hanging out and talking to people about that car. And for the sheer fact, there's not that many of them either, right?
Right.
I did have a fun day. So we did the press day, I think, out in Utah at the Miller Motorsports Park or whatever it's changed to now, which was cool because there was like 15 of those things and you could just thrash the hell out of them and then you give it back, right? So I won't be doing that.
That is the best situation.
Yeah. So
somebody else's car, somebody else's tires.
Exactly.
Well, what will you do in this car?
Probably just enjoy it with my wife. It might be the dinner date car, but I'm not a flashy guy either. Like I love my Acura MDX.
I don't know.
I got a new hybrid.
I would love to see you pull up at a restaurant in L.A. in that car.
It's cool.
But good luck getting into the parking lot if there's an elevation.
Oh, you can raise the front. Come on.
What is your wife really going to... Oh, it's got a lift?
Yeah, it does.
You got to have
lift.
it.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to have it. See, I've never taken Erica out in that car. She, for a while I had her convinced it was the same car as the GT3 Touring, that we just put a wing on it and stripes, but literally the same car. There's only one car.
Okay.
I'm just switching.
Oh,
back
really?
and forth.
Nice.
We didn't want
I love
Zuckerman
the
and
color
I,
you got, too.
my co-host. We were just playing a little trick on our wives that we didn't want them to know how
the
many
same
cars
car.
we were buying. So we had two chalk 911s, the GT2 RS and a GT3, and we would just say it's the same car. No. Zuckerman just put the wing and the stripes on it. That's the same car. But she doesn't like the bouncy. She doesn't like, she would rather just go in the Range Rover.
I get that. How do you enjoy yours, though? Do you go like up into the mountains? Do you go on the day trips? Or
I am an everything driver.
Yeah.
I like to just incorporate a car into the week. I don't like to adapt to the car and where it wants to go.
Yeah.
I want the car to be with me all the time.
Have you driven the Acura NSX?
Yeah. I like
I
it.
enjoyed that. So Long Beach Grand Prix last year, I had that for the week and went out to Malibu. But even that, because even in a city environment, when you're stopping at the lights all the time, it just runs electric, right? So it's extremely quiet,
right?
But also can get quite aggressive. And we took it up in the hills, and I don't know, it's a fun car.
It's a great car for the price point.
Yeah, that's the problem, is the price point.
Well, I think you just have a bunch of folks. Oh, look, hi. Let's see. Here we're at the airport. Someone's coming in, just waving to us. Walking by.
She needs an Uber,
people think this is Atlantic Terminal, so they're arriving for flights.
Oh,
and
wow.
They come in here as if we work here.
Yeah.
We'll ask us
need
questions.
to help. I think you need to help her
Where
out.
do we get the helicopter? And I say, get out. The Acura brand has a little bit of trouble. I once someone told me that the people who buy Acuras are people who don't like cars, who don't think about cars in a passionate way. So to have that top tier NSX, which is a very cool car, a lot of us like that, but not necessarily the drivers who have been driving Acura who are ready to make that purchase. You know what I mean? But I think it's a super cool car.
Yeah, it's a cool car, but I don't know, the recognition it doesn't get.
Yeah, nobody
much.
knows what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's coming from New Zealand.
But that's what I'm saying. There's not a passionate fan base, at least here in Southern California.
Yeah.
You go out in the Ford GT, you're gonna meet a lot of friends. You go out in the GT2 RS.
Still a Ford, though, right?
Yeah,
it's a $600,000
Ford. I know. Well, I like Fords, though. I mean, I grew up with Mustangs and things, and that's why I'm drawn to that car. Yeah. And it is the coolest looking thing. Anyway, let's get to some questions here. Dario Franchitti wants to know, Dixie.
Oh.
Does he call you Dixie?
Yeah.
When are you going to get your cash out and buy some cool old cars? Cool old cars.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
So actually, I went out. Dario Franchitti, if you don't know, is 3-time Indy 500 champion, also a 4-time IndyCar
Only
champion.
3.
Only 3. Oh. Yeah, he was hoarding a little there for a while, but he's a mad Porsche guy too, and
yes,
has
I know
a great collection.
Yes.
Actually went on a trip with him to Scotland in November or December, which didn't start out too well. We had a bit of an accident. Not us, but another one in our group, and wrecked one of the cars. But I don't know. I think I'm sold. So on that trip too, there was also a Singer. I call them Stingers because of the price, but the Singer was there as well.
Right,
so,
right.
I don't know. I really enjoy that car. So I've hung out with Maz a little bit and been to their factory a couple of times.
Right,
so
right.
That might be my first break into that Porsche.
Well, now there are two very different cars that they sell, right? Isn't it a new deal?
It'll
They're
be
doing
the cheap
a DLS.
one. Yeah,
I'm going to drive it next weekend.
Oh,
They're
you
bringing it out to Malibu for me to drive.
So they still have just the mules, right? There's no.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no. I mean, I'm just going by what's coming across in my text feed, but it sounds like I'm driving it next weekend out there. But that's a $1.8 million car,
yes.
right? And then and we were just in Arizona at our friend's car storage place, Auto Car Club, Eli, and they had a Singer drive, and we drove the latest entry-level Singer, the $500,000 car, which is spectacular.
It is.
Superb. It's not exactly a vintage car, though. That's not what Dario is saying.
Yeah.
He's saying, are you going to buy a 58 Speedster? Are you going to buy a 73 911 RS? Perhaps an RSR, so one of the old Porsche race cars that come with a title that you can put a license plate on.
So I've started, obviously, going in more depth with Dario on these because it's not something you really want to dive into without doing a lot of research first,
right? No,
and
he's the guy.
He's definitely the guy for me at least. But I don't know. The Singer
be
for
bad
me
for you, dude.
I had just such a a big appreciation for it. The
Right,
attention
right.
to detail on those things
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah.
You know, when you roll up to the factory, you're like, oh God, what have we got here? But
Yeah.
when you see the work that goes on, and it kind of crosses both paths.
Yeah.
You know, it can be a daily driver. It's a cool cruiser, looks amazing,
Right.
has the old kind of feel and look, and roadster hot rod kind of portion to it. So I don't know. I think that's what I'll probably dip my toes into first.
They are incredibly well made,
very.
but they are not vintage. I hear they have vintage cues and
Yeah.
design cues. I totally hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is, in my opinion, and I can back channel with Dario. This
Yes.
is a 2-car purchase. If you're
Yeah.
going to go Singer, I want you to get into something else. Like, I can see you getting into one of the IROC, 74 IROC 911
Yeah.
race cars, which
Yeah.
you can drive on the street right
Yeah.
up there. You can take them right out. The 73, the RSR, that, something like that. And you would, like a 73 RS is where I would start you right off.
Yeah.
Right into a 73
I think
RS.
Dario's. It might be what he's itching at there is that he has. I think he's got a bit of a hot rod for sale coming up here
He does?
shortly. So maybe he's trying to push that.
But
that
aren't
my
you
way.
interested in just, before you get to the hot rod, just the race cars,
Yeah.
the old race cars?
Yeah.
Because you really do, you've driven this stuff.
Yeah.
I would be looking at early 911s and something with a little bit of race history and just something you can have fun in.
We
'Cause
definitely need to talk about it then.
Yeah.
See, I'm just uneducated on that portion. It's just not something
Well, we
that
can
was-
help you with
yes,
all of that.
That's what
We
I
can
need.
help you with all of that. And Dario's going to do that because that sounds like what Seinfeld did to me back in the day. I was saying exactly the same things you were saying. I was saying, no, I want it kind of new, and I want it in silver and black. And what do you like this old stuff? It's so slow. It's so
Yeah.
slow. And now I find the older, the better. Like,
Yeah,
get
because
me.
you feel more part of it. You know,
What's that?
There's of an older car.
Well, look,
you really
know,
feel it.
I hate
the
to
newer
tell you,
stuff is you feel a bit disconnected.
you're already there.
Yeah,
I'm looking
I know
at the watches
I
on this
know.
table right here,
Yeah.
and what you've chosen, and you don't even know.
Yeah, yeah.
Your brain has already made those choices, and in the future, it's going to make those car choices,
Yeah.
and I know where it's going to land.
It's because I
It's-
feel like I understand the watch thing.
Yes.
for the most part. But,
Yeah, yeah.
but then I think that's it's kind of maybe the gateway. Dario's been the gateway.
The
drug.
simple mechanical pleasures of an early
Yeah.
911 or even a 356, the simplicity of it.
Something you
This-
can work on too, right?
Nothing extra.
Yeah.
It's very much like this collection of watches you
Yeah,
have there.
yeah.
Oh, you're dead.
So it's coming.
Dario's going to have a lot.
My wife
of
actually
fun with
once
you.
has been asking about a 356, but she can't even drive a stick shift. So
Who's
I don't
that?
know. My wife.
Well, will you teach her on that? That's a great
Yeah.
car to learn on.
Yeah. Is it?
I've done it before, and you teach people in 5 minutes.
How are the brakes though? She needs good brakes.
No, they're horrible. They have to anticipate. That's part of the fun. But you're never going that fast. It's the sensation of speed.
You got to understand. My wife actually crashed into our nanny's car in our driveway.
Wow, this is a
So
story I would never believe about a wife.
wife.
Wow, this is
So,
shocking. I'm
yeah.
shocked that a
Yeah.
wife would crash a car.
But apparently there wasn't that much damage. But we still need a tow truck.
No, it's
and
never
there's a lot
that
of
much
fluid coming
damage.
out.
You just need a new door,
Yeah.
new windshield, new this. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, my
So it
God.
needs good brakes.
All right, here we go. Are you nervous? Bear wants to know. Whenever you go through a Taco Bell drive-through after dark.
Yeah. That was.
Why
a bit
would
of
you
a,
ask that question?
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy situation. So I think it was 2 years ago. I just won the pole at the Indy 500.
You were mugged, right?
Well, yeah, Dario and I actually we were meant to go to dinner. We had a reservation downtown at an Italian restaurant. And
Was
then,
this here in L.A.? Where?
It was in Indianapolis. So we
Indianapolis.
just won the pole
jeez.
at the 500, and it got late with all the media stuff, so it was probably 9:30, 10 o'clock, and so we think it's a good idea to rock up to the local Taco Bell. And kind of out of the corner of my eye, I was just getting ready to order. I see somebody walk by, and then there was a gun in the car.
Jeez.
Another guy on the other side, on Dario's side of the car, on the passenger side, trying to break the window to get in. And asking for wallets, phones, watches, whatever. And
So he did. So he's banging on this window with what?
well, no. So my side, the gun's already in the car. 'Cause
Yeah,
I had
but you said he was breaking the window.
he was
trying
trying. No, his friend on the other side
Yes.
of the car was trying to break the window, just punching
with his
it.
fist,
Yeah.
and no luck.
And trying to get Dario,
So you
to
could-
wind the window down. But of
Oh, I
course,
see, I see.
You're not going to do that.
So he did not.
No.
And the gun is in your... And what kind of gun was it? Do you remember a revolver or some sort of...
I don't know. I remember being kind of like... So I come from New Zealand. Like, even the police don't have guns.
Right.
They have, like, sticks. So, I remember looking at this thing, and I'm like, man, is that real? And he's still yelling for stuff, and the only thing I had was my wife's wallet. I didn't even have my wallet on me. And I knew there was nothing in that thing, apart from maybe a credit card. So I handed him that, and then, he's yelling at Dario, and Dario being Scottish, he's got very short arms. He couldn't reach any of his pockets. And
he couldn't. He's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex trying to reach in his own pockets.
He's a T-Rex. And but luckily a car pulls up behind us, and they
got
flee.
Nervous. They flee.
But yeah, the funniest thing was, I remember sitting there for another maybe 10 seconds, and then the guy comes on. He's like, "Are you guys gonna are you guys gonna put an order in?" Like, he was getting aggressive at us.
So this is at the drive-through.
It's at the drive-through. Yeah.
Oh my! Is there a camera on it? There's got to be a camera.
Yeah,
on
we
it, right?
find later on we go in with the police, and they see where the car parked. And, these two young kids walk up to the car, and then they found them actually 2 hours later. So we had to go and ID them, yeah.
Did you go and you meet him and forgive him and say, "Look, fellas,
so it's
it's time. I'm not gonna press charges, but I'm gonna change your life."
Yeah, it was a fun
You're
night.
gonna let me
so
punch
Dario
you right
and
in
I
the face.
Got back to, so we stay at the track, right?
Yeah.
We have all these motorhomes, and so we go back with a bag of Taco Bell and drink a bottle of Camus wine,
right?
With Taco Bell, as you do, and 2 hours later they call us up and they say they found him, but one of the guys, the dog, got him real bad. So you rock up and he's just bleeding.
How the hell did they track him down in 2 hours like that? That's amazing.
It was pretty impressive.
Wow.
So yeah, that's the Taco Bell story.
You're so... It's so right, because I remember what I learned the first time I was mugged in New York City. The first time was, you don't know you're getting mugged until after it's over.
Yeah.
You're like, what is happening right here?
Yeah.
You're kind of, oh, that's a gun, or that's a knife. Oh, I see. All right, here, take my money.
Yeah.
And then it kind of hits you maybe a half hour later, and you're like, geez, I was just in a life or death situation.
So in the motor racing community, too, there's typically a lot of jokesters, right? So
right.
Tony Kanaan is a good friend and of both of, Dario and myself. And I thought it was him being funny. So I kept waiting for somebody to jump out of the bushes and be like, "Hey, we got you, man!" But
you did the right thing. You just
yes.
give them. You always do that. If this ever happens to you, you're listening right now. Just hand it all over.
Yeah.
Don't be a hero. Don't be
hand
stupid.
over your wife's wallet and move on.
Yeah. Don't. I would even see even if you have a weapon, don't shoot anybody. Just give them your crap. They go away very quickly, and then
it's easy
you'll
to
be
replace.
happy. You don't have to worry about that. I love this, and I've talked to the guys before about this Indianapolis scene with everybody at the track.
Yeah.
Why do you have to live at the track? So most people don't understand this. You guys it's like this fraternity house at the track right now, right? And there are no real families there.
Well, so for me, I live in Indianapolis, right?
Right,
so
right.
normally I have such an influx of family coming and staying.
Right.
That it's the only way I can get some sanity is going
Right,
and staying
to go
in
to
the
the
motorhome.
track,
It's like
right.
my little man cave.
Right.
And you stay in your motorhome. But
why do you have to be at the track the whole time?
Because the traffic, man, is horrendous. And
But
some
are
of
you
these
working
days,
there every day? Are you just working that track, or is this just the home base for the series?
It used to be a month-long thing, right? The Indianapolis
Right.
500, which now it's kind of turned back into it because you have the Indianapolis Grand Prix, which is run on the road course, and then 2 weeks later is the Indianapolis 500. So no, it's only specific nights that you stay there, before the big days, whether it's the Grand Prix,
Got it.
the qualifying for Indianapolis 500,
Got it.
and then typically after the qualifying, you start practicing the next day again before the race. So it's normally just a convenience thing.
And what do you do? You shower in the motorhome, or are there facilities there for you guys? Or?
These are flash, man. They're flash motorhomes. These are like better than hotel rooms.
And what kind of jokes are you playing on each other?
Well, TK probably takes it to the extreme. I think it was, he'll cut, bikes in half, and
What do you mean? Like
so Dario, I think, was doing an interview one
expensive
time.
bicycles that you buy.
Expensive, like carbon fiber $10,000
$10,000 bikes. He'll cut them in half.
Yeah.
With what?
With a hacksaw.
And so you'll come out and your bike will just be in half.
That's right.
I'd be so pissed.
Right.
Does he pay for the bike after that?
Yeah, I don't know how they worked that deal out, but there was a trip in Japan with Dan Weldon, the late Dan Weldon. I wasn't involved in this one, but he was a guy that took a lot of pride in his shoes and his hair products and things like that. So they actually took one shoe from all his pairs, so he had no shoes that he could wear together, and then also took his hair products and they put that into the toilet. And then everybody went to the toilet that morning too on top of those. So, it's just a lot of, fun banter going on.
Here's a good one with shoes. If somebody only has a couple pairs, find the shoe and the style and then buy one size smaller and then just put
swap them out.
Yeah, swap them out. Put an 11 with a 13 and just make them crazy. They won't know what's happening. All right, here we go. Based on your experience of sharing a Rolex car with NASCAR drivers, what differences do you see in their driving style versus yours?
Well, for one, I think it's much more difficult for them just because it's a big transition. For us, it's kind of easy going from the sports car or going from the Indy car to the sports car, but going from the Cup car to a sports car is a little bit different. Obviously, you're having to turn right occasionally too, which changes things up quite a bit.
Neck pain.
Yeah, but no, I think with Casey Mears was the first win. Jamie McMurray. Kyle Larson was probably the last guy I did it with. I know Kurt Busch is trying to do it next year with our team as well. So it's these guys are extremely talented. It doesn't matter. It just takes a few laps, a little bit of understanding of what they maybe need to change up, and they're on it. I think Kyle, the last year he did it, he was actually the fastest guy in the car. So it's these guys they're professionals. They're very good, and they have no problems.
We talk about taproot cars on this podcast a lot, and that is the car, and we're actually still defining it. It's the car in your collection or the first car you drove where you knew, well, I want to collect these cars. It may not be the car you end up keeping. So for me, that's a 74 911. Wrong year, it was the wrong color, wrong condition, but it started me off on a run of 911s and where I am today. For Seinfeld, it's we've been talking about. His taproot is a 944, and he's had kind of mixed luck with getting back into that car. Some feel okay, but it's the car that started it all. What's yours?
Oh,
did you have?
I think I'm still finding my way on that. To be honest, I've been fortunate that most of my cars have been the best cars. They've been free cars that I haven't had to pay for.
But there was nothing when you were younger and you were a kid. You got in. You went, well, I could even go back to a Honda Accord my mom owned that had a 5-speed in it, right? And I went, wow, I like this. I got a clutch and I can shift gears.
So I had, my first car was a Honda Prelude, 1982. It was red. It had the pop-up lights. Only one of them worked. It was an automatic, which infuriated me because, being 15 or 16 at the time, all I wanted was something, with a manual, a manual shift, stick shift. So that car kind of worked for a portion, but I would say the car that I thoroughly enjoyed at a young age and probably shouldn't have had was a WRX. Impreza, the RA, so it was the lightweight version. It had the aluminum doors. It was from Japan. My dad worked in Japan and importing cars to New Zealand, so there was a constant influx. My dad actually owned a car yard, so I would actually, when he fell asleep, I would kind of take the keys and pick some cars off the car yard and go joyriding for the night, which many a times did not work out very well with crashing many of them. Yeah,
did you get in trouble? Did he know what you were doing?
Lots of trouble. Yeah, he finally caught on to that one. But I'd say that Impreza for me, and I had such a big love for Colin McRae, and the World Rally Championship at that stage. That's. But I wouldn't say that was. I wouldn't say that was the gateway car, but it was the passion for cars and road cars and what was available. But
there's a question here from Bespoke Watchwinders, I guess a company. What's your Grail watch? It looks like you might own one of your Grail watches. Do you own it? Is it that Paul Newman Daytona?
Yeah, the Newman is probably. The one. I think, the 369 was something I was always fascinated with just because there weren't many of them. And this one was, from the original owner, bought it in Scotland in the early 60s. So, the stories behind it, I think, is what's passionate for me. The thing that I'm kind of missing and have been looking for is probably a big crown. So that will be, which I just helped a friend actually in Indianapolis get his first big crown. which I was kind of a little bummed. I should have jumped on that deal.
And you're getting these watches vetted, of course, and buying from respected dealers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I go crazy on that.
Yeah.
It's
Well, you have to.
You do.
So do you have a guy you bring it to and you go, will you vet this for me? Will you look at it? Or do you have vetted dealers you just trust?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, and probably I think when you dwindle it down, Ben Klimer's been great for steering me in the right direction. I think Andrew Scheer, Michael Morgan, Hasek from HQ Milton, have a great friend Min, which we may know somehow together, in Canada. So I kind of blitz it out and get an understanding. And it's funny how what can be missed and what's caught by different people. It's pretty interesting. But it's also hard to do it from photos, so to have it in hand.
It is. There are a lot of watches that look great in a photograph, and you get them, and they're a little dull.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, which I've had that before, where the rotors have been broken.
You're so primed for the vintage Porsche world. You were so primed for it, you don't even know. Because everything you just described is exactly what you do with these cars.
Yeah.
The vetting.
I think I'm in good hands. I've got Dario and yourself.
I'm ready to help.
It's the right level to start at.
Somebody, of course, wants me to comment on the Seinfeld litigation of the 4-cam Speedster.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot, as I was mentioned on line 22. If you want to download that lawsuit, you'll see line 22 has your buddy Spike Ferriston in it for some reason. And I can't wait. I don't know where this podcast is going to fall, but I can't wait to discuss it with all of you, with Mr. Seinfeld, Mr. Zuckerman, of course, who is my sometime co-host, who's a lawyer.
Yes.
And we all are very ready to communicate everything we know. It's just we have to wait for this to play out.
I'm sure
you guys know that. Why did you even ask? Paul Hawk. These are all Instagram names. Recently, both Portland and Labuan Saval, am I saying that right, have been added to the schedule. Are there any other circuits you'd like to see come back?
So he's talking about Coda, and this year we had Portland was added last season, and then we had Laguna Seca, and
so is he? That's spell checked, right?
Maybe it must
Laguna.
have.
It's got to be Laguna Seca.
Laguna Seca and Coda are the two that have come on this year. So I think they're talking. Hopefully, we go back to Australia for the start of maybe next season or the year after to Surfers Paradise, and then I think they're looking at a few other ovals. The balance is kind of lopsided right now. We're very road course, street course strong. Whereas IndyCar is, around the world is mostly known for the Indianapolis 500 and also a lot of ovals. So I think
what's your favorite track? What do you enjoy driving the most?
I enjoy both. They're both very different. They're that's what I love about IndyCar racing is the shared difference between disciplines and 1 week. The good example is you'll be doing 230 miles an hour at the Indianapolis 500, and then you go to Detroit Belle Isle the next week and you're on a bumpy ass track.
Indy
doing
scares me, man. Yeah. Sometimes I don't even watch it. It gets me a little afraid. And the more you guys I meet, I'm kind of like, I'm not so sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? Is there ever been any talk of just eliminating that race and just going, it's not worth it?
It's the biggest race in the world, man. It's it's 400,000 people, and
we'll be fine. We'll be okay.
Yeah, but safety's come a long way.
It has.
I think it's part of history. And for me, I live life that. If it's your day, it's your day. No matter what you're doing, it can be anything. But I would feel sad to give up the passion that I have and what I love the most. So it's I love racing cars, and that's what I'm going to stick to.
Have you ever seen any of those little Indy vintage Hoyers? There's a vintage Hoyer dial that's got a little Indy wings on it.
Yes, there's actually some pretty. Yeah, I can go into a long story.
Those
on
are
that too.
$3,000 to $5,000. Not so bad.
Yeah,
not so bad.
But there's some crazy vintage ones actually that were made for the Speedway back in the 50s and 60s that are quite rare.
Yeah.
So.
Well, would you buy a watch just to have it, or those are going to be tiny, right? They're going to be little teensy watches.
A little smaller. But I think it's part of the history too.
Right.
I think if you see it and you wear it and you feel it, and if you appreciate it, then you got to jump on it.
All right, Kunal wants to know what I wanted to know. Did you apply for the Ford GT? Yes, he did, and
they must have liked my video.
They must have liked who he is. I guess they learned about him in that moment.
That's right.
Folks want to know what he's buying next. He's meeting with with Richard Mille. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Oh, Richard Mille? Yeah.
Richard Mille. Is he going to be there? Is there a Richard Mille?
There is a Richard Mille. So he's based in France, I guess. But, so
today, what are you doing with him? Are you going in and
so this is
talking
a US
business?
Yeah, to be trying to iron out, a couple of final details. But I think the deal's pretty much.
And you'll do that in person. You won't have a representation.
So, my manager is Stefan Johansson. I don't know if you know Stefan. He lives here actually in Marina del Rey.
So he'll be there.
But he
have a level
for
of
Ferrari
protection.
and Formula One, and yeah.
Yeah, here's what we want.
Yeah, take all of these. I did do a shoot with them, and they sent a watch out, and they're like, "Oh, you need to get some insurance on it." I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever."
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this thing was like $850,000.
I know.
Yeah,
and these guys are motivated. These watch companies are so motivated. Yeah. They're not as arrogant as the car companies. They really want help, and they want some. I mean.
But he's in a crazy niche, right?
They're
but they only produce maybe 5,000 watches a year. When you look at Rolex is over a million pieces a year now. So
nobody knows what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And why it's so hard to get some of these watches.
Exactly.
I get the feeling it's a game, right? I've heard they're making 2 million watches a year.
Well,
wait, I can't get one.
Maybe
what do you mean?
3 million. But yeah.
GMTs are 5 times what they cost. Like, what do you mean? Just make one. Press out 1,000 of them this week.
You can't buy any Rolex sports watch right now. You go into any store. There's not even a sports watch in there. You can't even buy a Submariner no date. It's crazy.
No, I know. It's a dangerous game. They know how to make us frothy, right? They know how to get us crazy.
They're doing okay.
But at the same time, there comes a point for all of us where we go, I'm going to start dancing with another girl.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets dangerous, right? Porsche plays it through brokers, but I don't believe they're playing it as a factory right now.
Yeah.
But a little bit. But it becomes dangerous because you go, well, then I'll just go to McLaren. I'll just go to one of these other brands. I'll go to Tag Heuer. I'll go, they're just making nice watches.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
They're going to treat me right. I don't have to be somebody special. I don't have to fill out an application after winning Indy 5 times. The lazy smoker. The lazy smoker. How are you, lazy smoker? Who would you rather race against in their prime, Mario Andretti or Michael Schumacher? So in their prime. That's good.
I don't know. So Mario was a little before my time, but
But they're saying in their prime. This is time
No,
machine
but I'm
talk.
saying it as far as growing up,
right.
Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher were my go-to guys.
Right.
They were at the top of their discipline at that point. But Mario, I see Mario pretty much every weekend. He's such he's great, fantastic person, and
I did a lap with him.
You did?
Little double.
Oh, you did at Long Beach, or where'd you go?
Long Beach.
Two-seater.
Yeah, it was like going through a portal to another dimension. Yeah. It was whip, 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 and then we were back.
But I don't know. My answer on that would be both. I couldn't pick. Mario's such a special person, and Michael was just crazy good.
He likes to do this, and I'm sure he does this for everybody with Mario. And I was there with a couple of actors. Topher Grace, I think, was right in front of me, and a comedian. And they were turning to me like, "Oh, hey, so this is safe, right?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know about safe." And I was lighting them up, making them crazy. And like, well, what? There were a lot of concrete barriers, and they're very close together.
Yes.
And Mario's amazing driver, but he's old. And they were turning white.
Mario's like 70, right?
Yeah, right. And I was making him crazy, just having fun. But then Mario gets out, and it's my turn. And I know it was one of his guys. He's like, have you ever seen when Mario was out in the track and he flipped the Indy car in practice?
Oh yeah.
When he hit that, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know. I wasn't there, but
But then they did it to me, and I said, "What do you mean?" They go, "Look at this YouTube video," and they show me this video of him, and the Indy car's in practice. It hits a little piece of wood, and it just gets the front end gets a little elevated, the air gets under it, and he does a full flip. Right?
Yeah.
Is it once or twice?
I think it's a couple of times.
And then he lands on his wheels again.
Yeah, he just hits the wall a little bit, but that could have been horrendous because he went above the fence. He would have ended up in the grandstand.
And he was older at that point, right? He was toward the end of his career.
He hadn't been racing for like 5-10 years. So this
he
was
was in his
maybe
60s?
10 years ago. Yeah, he might have been like late 50s, early 60s. But
holy shit.
Yeah.
And you just go, I can't. I mean, it's just, again, adds to the legend of this guy.
But again, if you live through that, man, you can live through anything.
You know what I mean?
It's going to Taco Bell, you can live through anything.
If you guys haven't seen this, just think about your dads. Think about you if you're in your 60s doing that. Just Google it, Mario Andretti flips IndyCar, and just think about that moment. Because, Leno's had that moment, too, when he was in a couple years ago on a CNBC show, when he was in the dragster, and that thing rolls.
Oh, yeah, it rolled.
And he's keeping his hands in it. It's just,
I did that same show, I think, with Jay. We did it at Phoenix in the IndyCar.
Yeah, no, it's great, but... I
need to make it out to his place. I've never made it out there.
All right, you do.
Yeah.
You absolutely do.
Yeah.
And I can help. I can set that up
Please.
for you.
Please. Can we go today?
Not that you need help.
Yeah.
I want you to fill out an application and send it to me. Just remind me who you are.
I'll submit.
You don't need that Ronald in between your names. Let's eliminate that. It's not as cool as the rest of your name. But yeah, you go out to Jay's place.
Yeah.
And I was out there in the last year I've been out a couple times. I was on a YouTube show, on the CNBC show. But I'd heard about this place for years and years, and you always hear the same stories. But when you get there, it's mind-boggling what's happening there. I think even if your expectation is up here, it exceeds it. Jay is so gracious. I called him up. And I said, my kids are obsessed with tanks. You've got a little ferret kind of military vehicle.
I'm
going to say it's a tank, right?
Yeah.
Any chance we come see it, hey, I'll take you for a drive, Spike. You just come by on Saturday morning. So Saturday morning we roll over there. Hey, he calls up, you coming? And I'm like, yeah, I'm coming, but I'm at a soccer practice. He said to be there at 1. It's 11. All right, well, get here. And I'm like, oh, now he doesn't even know what time it is. So I rush the kids off the soccer field after the game's over. We get over. Yeah, you want ribs? Calls when we're in the car. Yeah, kids, you want ribs? They're like, what? Yes, just get us ribs. And he cooks us up, brings home these ribs. But here's the best part. I'm sorry, I'm not telling the story great. But so we get there, nobody's there. One of his guys is there, lets us in. We're looking at the place, and I'm showing the kids some stuff. And then I hear the tank noise, the ferret, military vehicle, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And he pulls up, and he goes, I got the ribs. And I'm like, wait, you picked up the ribs and that? Yeah, it goes like 50 miles an hour. It was so great. He goes, look at the ammunition box. Opens the ammunition box, and there's this big pile of ribs, and then feeds us all these ribs. And it was just, it's just always a great time with him. Always a great time. And then walks us around, and I was there another day with Matt Farrer, and we're like looking at these old steam-powered fire trucks, and he's like, "You want me to start it?" And I'm like, "You can't start that." He starts it up.
But that's the crazy thing with him is just the different kind of cars he has.
Yes,
it's amazing.
And he's, I'm always fascinated with the little rules everybody has about their collection, from what they're going to buy to how things are run, and Jay's place reminded me of a Valley Peterson Auto Museum, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Lots of an incredible collection of stuff, but not displayed like the Peterson. This is kind of the blue collar jeans, and we're working on stuff. But one of the rules I saw him was like everything's got to start. So we can have that moment,
cool.
like
so
we'll walk up
it.
to this. Yeah. But he started this like steam powered fire truck from the 20s. He started it right up. It started right up. And, you're just instantly sucked in. And then, we're building this. We're making this wheel. We're doing that. And it's and he's got an encyclopedic knowledge of all this stuff.
Everything,
Yeah, it's an incredible thing to happen. You have to get over there. You have to definitely.
So I remember even when I was
just
with
invite yourself over.
Yeah, but talking even about Indy cars and the things he knew about, even McLaren. So he started picking
wild.
Brain about McLaren stuff and the history, and it's cool. Definitely to get out there.
Well, look, man. I've got so much more to talk to you about, but you and I both have to go. I have a very important lunch to get to. You've got a watch meeting to get to.
I got to go get me a watch.
What's that?
I got to go get me a watch.
Yeah, no, it's very cool that you came in and did the podcast. I know the fans here are going to be very happy, and thanks for coming over here to the first Hangar 56.
This is cool. It's a great spot, man. Look at it. Huh? Look at the views.
It's good. Yeah, it's nice. And look, we have snow on the mountains. You see the snow on the mountains out there?
You can actually see the mountains.
Yeah, this is This is the time of year where you think you live in Switzerland when you're driving cars around the runway here. It's one of the most beautiful places on Earth, I think, Santa Monica Airport, and we wanted to stay here.
LA is cool, man.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
On the new season. Yeah. We want number
Chasing
6.
six, man. Chasing
now
6.
Now that Brady's got 6, we want you to get 6. And let's next time you're out, let's drive.
You got to come to the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach.
I'll be there. I'll be your guest this year.
I'll be picking your brain on some Porsches anyway.
Yeah, and I'm happy to help with that. Where can we find you? Where do you like to interact? Is it just Instagram or is it everywhere?
Instagram and Twitter, yeah.
All right.
Scott Dixon 9.
Perfect, and you can catch up with me on Instagram and my co-host who's here and not here, Paul Zuckerman, the real Zuckerman on Instagram, and we'll see you next week with Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the PrizePicks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on PrizePicks for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.